Here we go, and we are live. Wow. The market meltdown is continuing. Today, the Dow plunges 1,000 points. The VIX is spiking. Recession fears. Everything is in the red. So the question is, what's happening to our positions? Also, the question is, how much longer will it last? Is the worst over now, or is this just the beginning of the end? The Nasdaq is in correction territory. So we have a lot to talk about today. And with that said, let's get started. Welcome to Coffee with Markus and Market. Today is Monday, August 5th. And in this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And Mark, I mean, everything is just bright red.
What a chart, Marcus, or what a picture there. Red, 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 red. And that's exactly what's going on in the markets. A pretty nasty Monday.
Yeah, it does look bad. So let's take a look at the S&P 500. Let me just see. I thought there was a echo, but I think it's over now. But there was for a moment an echo.
You know, listening to you, it was a little bit choppy. I'm not sure if it's my end or your end, but is the echo gone now?
It's gone now. I think we're good. All right. Take a look at this. I mean, it all started last Thursday, and then we had Friday, and then today, Monday. I mean, in the last 3 days alone, if you look at the S&P 500 in the last 3 days, we went from the high here to now losing 8%. In the Nasdaq, we actually lost what? Almost 12%, and we are officially in correction territory.
Look at that. I mean, just a big drop over the last couple of days. Some panic selling and a little bit of a snowball of different things contributing to this slide. But what a difference a week makes, right, Marcus? I mean, it really had to do with that jobs report. And then all of a sudden, everybody's saying recession and maybe the Fed's too late with a rate cut.
Yeah, so let's go back to last week. That's exactly is. I mean, over the past few months, we were actually looking for a slowing down economy. We were actually looking for prices coming down. Inflation was the big one, but now jobs, jobs, jobs. The concerns are there, as you said, that the Fed has overdone it, that they kept rates too high for too long, and that now they are breaking the economy. And we talked about this on Friday. The jobs growth, the smallest that there has been in a long time. And here we see that the unemployment rate is just moving higher. And this is where, okay, is it true that the Fed has overdone it?
Well, you know, I think that could be argued either way. And, you know, it's interesting because just the week previous, there was a good GDP number, right? The gross domestic product for the United States came out higher than expected. And actually, the inflation picture, core PCE, looked pretty good. So, I mean, such a quick change in just a week. And I mean, part of it could have also been some selling in mega caps, right? Because we saw that transition, the shift over to small caps, some Dow components, and also Russell 2000 stocks versus these large caps. And then it just seems to have turned into a bigger situation. And the question is this a perfect buy the dip type opportunity where investors get excited, or is this get the heck out of here and wait for a bigger pullback? And at least today, it's there's there's some uncertainty here for sure.
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, right now, if you look at it, I mean, even the yields are getting lower. I mean, look at this, the 10-year yield moving lower, the 2-year yield moving lower, cryptocurrencies moving lower. I mean, this morning, Bitcoin dipped just below 50,000 to 49,000. Kind of crazy. Let me just see.
Yeah.
I think there's something odd with my mic. Yeah, I thought that we have an echo cancellation there. Well, I mean, we'll go through today. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but on Friday, we go from 62,000 to 52,000 in Bitcoin. Right now, we're around 54,000, but definitely risk being the key focus here. And some are bringing up the idea of an emergency rate cut by the Fed.
Well, I don't see that. However, if we look at the probabilities, we see that right now, pretty much everybody thinks the Fed will lower it by half a percentage point versus only a quarter percentage point. I still do not see that. I think right now we do have an overreaction, but it is definitely an overreaction with the VIX spiking this morning, the fear index. I mean, going to levels that we haven't seen since the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, let me just zoom out here a little bit so that we can see. I mean, look at this. These levels, last time we had those, I mean, at 65 this morning, this was when the pandemic just started.
Yeah, that's a huge spike in the VIX, and I mean those highs came ahead of the U.S. market open. We had Japan raising rates last week, and then today Japan's Nikkei was down 12%, which was the worst since 1987, Black Monday, that market crash that went in the history books. So definitely concern. I agree with the rate cut here. I think that the Fed funds futures has and investors betting on Fed funds futures. They've always been a little too optimistic compared to what the Fed has done, and I agree with you, Marcus. It's the Fed's job isn't to keep the market at record highs. And when we get a sell off, we want to blame the Fed and we want to, have the Fed save the day. But I don't think there's going to be an emergency cut. At one point, it was like a 50-60% probability that they would do an emergency cut, but an 8% pullback in the S&P 500 and a jobs report that comes out worse than expected is a lot different than March 15th, 2020, when the market was down 30%. That was the last time the Fed did have an emergency rate cut. And maybe more data comes out between now and the September meeting that changes everything. And maybe the Fed does an emergency rate cut. But just because of a week of rough trading and a couple of things that have traders concerned, that's not enough for the Fed to come in and say, okay, we're cutting rates by 50 points.
Yeah, and I mean, this were right now. I mean, Fed funds traders, I believe, are overreacting because they're pricing in a half a percent cut in the September meeting and another half a percent cut in the November meeting. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I
Yeah.
I don't believe this because you mentioned it. I mean, we have more data coming in. This week is a little bit light when it comes to the economic calendar, but we see that this morning, that was actually last week. So here we go. We see that this morning we did have some economic data coming in. We had the final services PMI coming in a little bit worse than expected in the previous month, but the ISM Services PMI, which is the red flag report, came in better than the previous month and even better than expected.
Yeah. And readings above 50 indicate uh, expansion,
Yep.
readings below 50, contraction.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, this week we have a very light week when it comes to the economic calendar, as we can see here. But we do have earnings season continuing this week. I mean, we're winding down, but we do have some of the good old Dow components, and I think all eyes will be kind of on Caterpillar tomorrow morning. Because this is where we get a little bit better idea what they think about the economic, especially when they talk about their outlook, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a good point, Marcus.
Yeah. So we shall see. We shall see. Well, we also have to talk about Apple. Warren Buffett sold nearly half its stake in Apple. Does this mean that Apple is a sell, that Apple is a stock that everybody should get out of? Let's talk about that. Oh,
Yeah, you have to type in AAPL.
I know.
There you go. I you know I think that it was a nice calculated move by Buffett to Apple had a nice run up since early 2024, made record highs. He still has his stake there, but maybe just freeing up some capital for the next opportunity here. And this is where investors at first a little bit of a panic, and Apple opened significantly lower, opened at 199, but since has recovered. Um, Off of those lows, down 9% at the open, now down 3.5%.
Yeah, and I can't remember when exactly Warren Buffett started building his Apple stake, but I think it has been a few years ago. So I'm pretty sure that he participated in this run and it is nicely up. Probably, I mean, this run here is like 400, 360% up. So yeah, I think it's just some profit taking. And if you look at a 5 minute chart of today, we see that Apple is actually recovering rather quickly here from this drop because Apple still a super solid company, but we also know that Warren Buffett is famous for saying, okay, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. So this is where he is sitting now on a ginormous pile of cash. And I believe that he is looking at this and say, well, there will be some buying opportunities quite soon. I actually wouldn't be surprised if today is a day where Warren Buffett had bought a few things. I wouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah, it looked like there were definitely some opportunities to pick up some uh, shares of favorite companies at a huge discount this morning.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at our positions and see what is happening here. First of all, we still have two open positions with our WTF. And first up is GM. And GM this morning also opening lower, down pretty much in line with the market, around 4%, moving a little bit higher here right now. And we actually added to our position based on a 5% drop.
Yep, picked up some shares at 39.40 right now, 39.55.
Yeah. And then we also have Honeywell. And Honeywell, I mean, hanging in there surprisingly good this morning, actually, right around our entry price. Right now, a little bit down 2.3% with the overall market. But Honeywell has been hanging in there. So we're still in this position.
Yep.
And then there were a bunch of new positions coming up today, and we decided to trade three of them. So we had seven new entries, and we traded COF, Capital One Financing. And let me just see if I can get my live data here. So we did. Do you remember where we entered it? Was it at
Yeah,
130,
131.85.
131.85? Right now trading at 131.02. So slightly down here. Not too bad. We also decided to take the MET trade. So MET, MetLife, and here we entered at 68, I think it was 68.90.
Yeah, I got in at 68.91, so that's pulled it back a little bit since the entry. But one of my favorite trades of the day, TTD.
TTD entered this one. Wow. Wow. That is a great trade. Look at this.
Yeah, I picked
Entered
up
at
shares at
77,
77.32.
77.32, right now trading at 83.06. Wow. What a great trade.
Yeah, loving that one. And yeah, I'm not afraid to pick up some shares here after drop on Monday with these WTF signals right now, just following the plan and waiting for an exit signal.
Yeah. Let's hop over to the wheel strategy. On the wheel strategy, first up, we have CSIQ and CSIQ today opening massively lower, but right now nicely reversing. Still down 2.5%, but I do like what I see here with this reversal.
I agree. I agree.
Halliburton, on the other hand, moving lower today. So we got assigned at 34.50. Right now trading at 30, so we're down around 10% here. My break even is at 31.97, as you can see here. So might have to wait a little bit until we can sell calls again. But Halliburton is also known to have some explosive moves here. So we'll see what happens over the next few days.
Yep.
All right. KSS Coles also having a bad day today. Initially moving massively lower, now still down 2.8%, but nicely recovering. So this is where I have a position at 21.50. My break even is at 20.68, and right now we are trading around $2, no $1 below my break even. So that's not too bad. Let's see how this continues today. So also for me, last week I entered a Merck position, and I did this as an earnings play. Got assigned at 120. Today, massively lower at 112. So I'm a little bit down here, and annoying. There's still the echo, even though it says echo cancellation. Anyhow, hope that you can still understand me. So this is where right now trading at 112. So I have to wait until I'll be able to sell some calls against my position here at 120. And then UPS. We have UPS. UPS this morning down only 1%, which is surprising because I mean the Dow is down 2.5%, the S&P is down 2.5%, the Nasdaq is down 2.8%. So UPS kind of hanging in there today.
Yeah, nice to see that. It compared to some of the other stocks, just trading near these recent lows, looking pretty strong, all considered. With the S&P down 2.5%, and UPS just down 1%.
Yeah.
Two
You
other
had
trades that I am
yeah,
in,
a couple of
Marcus.
positions for you.
AVGO. Yeah, AVGO on Friday with the drop. I mean, this is where it was looking like the pandemic again. And AVGO, I had an opportunity to sell 125 puts, 10% where we were below where we were trading on Friday. Today, we opened around 130, actually 129.61 to be exact. And those 125 puts even went higher. But nice reversal, AVGO. I like the 125 level. We have a nice range around 120, 140, 125 puts us in that lower range. So I sold those puts. They expire this Friday.
All right. And didn't you also have a BP trade?
BP, yep. So BP, I sold 34.50s for this Friday, and right now just waiting to see what happens here. It looks like, at least based on where we're at today, trading around 33, I will be assigned, but no early assignment yet. And I do like that 34.50 level for BP.
Yeah. So the question is, what can we expect for the remainder of the week? And this is where we see right now we are moving higher. I don't think we're out of the woods just yet. I do believe that we might test these lows at 5,100 again, maybe even right here at 5,000 to test these lows. But for now, it seems today the bleeding is stopping, and S&P trading at session highs, the Dow trading close to session highs, and the Nasdaq definitely making session highs here. The VIX also lower again, so definitely higher than Friday, 50% higher. But after trading today at around 65, I mean, we see that right now we have pulled back massively and we're trading around 36, almost at session lows if we count the overnight session here. However, ever since we had the regular trading session opening, probably right here, we're definitely trading at session lows.
Yeah, nice little volatility crush there compared to where we were before. And there's I think there's going to be some continued volatility this week, maybe not at those highs that we saw pre-market where it seemed like the sky was falling for a little bit. But I think volatility is going to stick around for a little bit and not be this huge blip and then crush. I think we have a little more uncertainty for the time being.
Yeah, and again, this week it's all about the news headlines because we don't really have any economic reports, but it will be
Yep.
earnings season, Disney reporting. So there's quite a few reporting. So we'll see what happens there. Anyhow, before we go back to the markets, I know that on Friday we were so excited talking about the markets that we forgot our bad dad jokes. So I think we definitely need to make sure that it is this time in the show where we have a bad dad joke for you before we go back to the markets. Mark, what do you got for us today?
Yeah, well, in honor of Apple's earnings on Friday and also or on Thursday going into Friday, and also with Buffett selling his Apple position, I think that an Apple joke is in order. Why is it difficult to break into an Apple store at night?
I
There's
don't
no
know.
windows.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. I have a slightly inappropriate one today, but you see, every time when we upload this to YouTube, we have to say whether this is made for kids or not, and we always say it's not for kids. Okay, so get over it. All right. Why is there no pregnant Barbie doll?
What?
Because Ken came in another box.
Oh God, Marcus, 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 Marcus,
I warned
Marcus.
you.
Oh boy, taking jokes to a whole nother level.
I'll go back to PG tomorrow. Anyhow, so looking at the markets, S&P now at session highs. So we'll see what happens today. And again, I don't think that we are out of the wood just yet, but we'll see. For today, the bleeding seems to have stopped. Traders are seeing it as a buying opportunity. So the most important thing right now is, and this is what we talked about with our mastermind this morning. Don't panic. Don't panic. Right? I mean, have a plan. Follow your plan. This is why we have these mugs on our desk that say, follow your plan. So, yep. Right. So, but in order to follow your plan, you need to make sure that you do have a plan. Anyhow, we're here for you every morning where we talk about the markets and our positions and what we feel is the right thing to do. And if you enjoyed today's, give us a like. Also, after the show, leave a comment below and let us know which joke you like best. Uh, if you found that this was good information, please feel free to share. There's a share button right underneath. And with that said, what are you trying to do?
Oh man, I thought it was gonna work.
What are you trying to do? What?
Sorry.
Okay, with that said, have a great rest of your day and don't panic.
Happy trading, everybody.